Welcome to the VA Today pod and videocast with your host, Gail Alexander, a podcast about VAs, for VAs, and businesses looking for the right VA to help to start grow their business. Find the right VA today and visit VA Today on YouTube and ava-ni.com to find out more about VAs and what they can do for you, and get in touch with the virtual assistants you need today. Hi everyone, it's Gail Alexander here from the VA Today, and today we are joined with Ellie McBride from Calibrated Concepts. And so Ellie also works in a legal firm as a legal secretary, as well as doing her business as a VA. So she's a very busy lady, so I'm really glad that we found time to get her to join us. So welcome, Ellie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. So one thing to say is you're not native to the UK. You're actually from Portland, Oregon, isn't it?
Yeah, I went to university in Portland, but I was raised kind of in a small town on the other side of the state.
Okay. So. And then you decided to move over here into the UK, should I say Northern Ireland, or was it following a dream, or is it following somebody else?
It was following love. I was traveling and I ended up meeting my now husband. And you know, in the decision-making process, it ended up that I ended up moving over here. So I've been here at this stage for a little over a year, okay, and we'll be here for the foreseeable future. So
yeah, oh, no, that's good. And so I hope you're finding Northern Ireland, maybe not the weather, really good. Although you've been here for one of the best summers we've ever had. So yeah, you've been lucky.
Yeah, it was my first summer here was last summer, and this summer I was just like, what is this? It's so much better.
Don't get used to it.
I'm trying not to keep my hopes up, but it's hard.
Yeah. So being able to do VA work, has that helped with the move from US to here, or was it part of, you know, helping to make things more flexible for you? Because as I said, you work for a legal firm and you do you're legal secretary for them, but as well as doing your VA work.
Yeah. So I kind of started, I think, as a project to keep me busy while I was on the job hunt when I first moved over here. I've always known that someday I'm going to have something of my own. I didn't exactly know what that was. And so originally I'd kind of branded it as kind of a business organization specialist. So somebody who's really coming in and seeing your systems and your processes and kind of analyzing that. Didn't really go over very well. The marketing was just wrong. And then in that time, I got my job here at my solicitor firm, and the people are absolutely lovely, which is, I think, part of why I haven't ramped up beyond part-time as a VA, because they're so great. And around January, at that stage, I'd been here for just under a year, and I decided that it was time to start again. And so I used my same name, my same website, but I totally revamped and branded it as a virtual assistant.
Okay.
At this stage, I've had nearly 8 years of admin experience in law, property management, healthcare, physio, kind of running the gamut of things.
Quite a variety there. Reading that up in LinkedIn. Yes, you're quite skilled in a lot of areas, so that's perfect for VA. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, well, this is what I know I can do, and ultimately for me, the goal is going to be being able to spend more time in the U.S. with my friends and family. So my firm here knows this, and that I'm going to be at some stage ramping up to being able to spend a month to 6 weeks of each year in America. And that's the dream.
But that's a good thing. I had a phone call just before talking to you about another, it was a Canadian who came from Victoria, and she wanted to live and work in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and being a VA has allowed her to do that. So it's a great point that you make there. The flexibility that has helped so many different people in different situations. She wanted to live the dream and move to Scotland. You wanted to get more flexibility of living here with your husband as well as see your family in the States. And then for me, I came to it because my situation might changed. I was made redundant from my job from restructuring, and I was like, what am I going to do? And fit it around 2 young kids. So virtual assistant's been brilliant. And as you say, like, you're virtual, you can work from anywhere. And so you can do work in the States and here. But another point that you raised there was about the title that you called yourself and rebranded yourself, and you didn't get a lot of traction as a business sort of specialist support worker, but you do as a virtual assistant. That's quite interesting.
And to be honest, other than offering some more like general admin, I still do the same thing I would have done for people. I still go in and I help them set up systems, and I still go in and I manage their scheduling of things, and help them find what makes their business more automated and process oriented and consistent and those kinds of things. So
I need that.
It just, I don't know if people often go, oh my gosh, I want help. But I think potentially, I don't obviously know what went wrong the first time, but potentially it's just, I was kind of going after the wrong demographic and of startups and things, because I'd worked a lot with them and realized how messy they are.
Finding their way.
Right. And I think that they're, especially in the startup world, they're so focused on constantly moving that they're not necessarily generally going to be prioritizing systems.
Okay. So yeah, talking about working with startups and more established companies, that's another interesting point, because I know a lot of VAs specifically like working with startups because they find it new, interesting, and it changes, and others really don't like it and they want to work with more established companies to help them make them more streamlined and more effective and more efficient. So there is a sort of place for both, interest for a VA. So obviously you tend to work with more established companies, or prefer to, should I say.
Well, I think that I don't actually, I work mostly at this stage with solopreneurs and very, very small businesses. They might be a little more established.
Okay.
I mostly, suddenly somebody gets to a stage of their business growth and they suddenly decide they need another hand. They have 2 hands, and 2 hands is not enough anymore, and they need a little more help.
I'm not a full-time person, so a VA is perfect for it.
Right.
Okay. And so did you take any specific VA training? Like, as you've said, you've obviously a lot of admin experience in various different industries, but did you take any specific VA training?
No, over the last year or so, since I kind of tried to launch the first time, I've listened to, I've done a lot of self-learning, I guess. I haven't taken any specific courses yet. Or I've taken, various things, small marketing courses. I've listened to loads of podcasts, read the books, those kinds of things. But I'm just now to a stage where I need to set kind of a plan of action I just need someone helping me with the roadmap. I'm such a detail-based person that the long, big picture is not where I'm necessarily good at, I'm not as good at creating it. So I've been actually kind of working on some introductory calls with some coaches lately, and I'm in the process of trying to pick a coach.
Okay. So that's a good thing to know as well, because it's easy enough to, well, I would say easy enough, but you can start yourself as a VA and you do a lot of self-learning, and that's brilliant. And it kind of helps fit around where maybe everyone is at the step, but getting to that next step, you could maybe take, as you say, looking for a specific coach. I've taken coaching classes myself with Generation Women, and then there's the other VA sort of community groups out there. So you've Connect, the Society of VA, Fact, and Joe Marone. All of those offer those extra sort of more structured and help you to maybe give you a bit more direction. So it is definitely worth looking into. So are there any groups that you're specifically a member of that have been really valuable to you?
Yeah, so I'm in a few local ones. I find that the local ones are probably the most helpful. I'm in some worldwide ones and some international ones, but I really like the local ones. So I'm in Bismarck, which is a Facebook group here. And I'm in the UK VA Facebook group and the Northern Ireland UK VA Facebook group.
Yeah.
I am in part of the Society of Virtual Assistants, though I don't use it as much as I should.
Too
um,
many.
and there's probably a couple others I'm forgetting. I am in some other, you know, like expat type
Okay.
groups and things. So
So they're not specifically VA groups, but it's just
right,
generally business groups as
kind of
well.
freelancers and things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm in Bismarang as well. Such a strange name. But
it used to be called Referral Tuesday when I
yeah.
first joined, and now it's Bismarang. I think it evolved.
I don't know where that came from. I'll have to ask them next time I see them. So it's good to be part of a. Quite often, it's a Facebook community, and there's a lot more chat. But I have sort of found that connecting on LinkedIn do you do that? Has that helped you any connecting with other VAs globally, or?
So I've connected with a lot of local VAs. To be honest, the LinkedIn is probably somewhere I could use a little bit of help. I've only added it as an app on my phone in the last like 3 months.
Okay.
It was up until recently not one of my preferred social media things at all. But when you're working in the business community, you kind of have to use it. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for me. I've posted some of my blog posts as articles recently, and I find I'm getting a little more traction and feedback that way. But I need to spend a little more time in like learning the way the community engages with each other, because it's quite different than it would be on Instagram, which is and Pinterest, which are my two favorite, like
I love
where I
Instagram.
personally spend my time. So
Pinterest, yes, maybe not for work because you get lost in Pinterest.
exactly.
Oh, look at that! They're totally taking you away from the subject.
Right.
Instagram, I actually like Instagram, and I find it really good as a research tool to find people and people for collaborations in that way. And then the way I've used that to find that person on LinkedIn. And as you say, it's a very different way of interacting. Facebook, it's it's a bit of fun as well. It's serious. LinkedIn, it definitely is more that business. So you're maybe asking relevant questions to the industry, or you're posting blogs, and I've seen and read some of yours, and you do get a lot more interaction. And so it's more a business media rather than a social media.
Right.
I kind of use them in conjunction with each other, because if I didn't use LinkedIn and kept using Facebook, I'd be on there all day. And that's not what you really want to be doing.
Right. I actually met like my business accountability partner on Instagram.
Okay.
I just happened to, start following a few VAs that I thought were interesting. And then I went through one day, I just kind of got frustrated about having not very many people to chat to and hold myself accountable other than my husband. and this was several months ago at this stage, but I just went and was like, you know what, I'm just going to be brave. I'm just going to message a few people that I feel like are in a similar phase of business, because that was, I think, the challenge. Is I knew some other VAs, but they were far beyond where I was at the time.
Okay.
And so I just went and messaged a few people and was like, hey, do you want to have a virtual coffee? And there was a few people that were like really into it, and a couple gals, and I did end up meeting up, and one of them just kind of stuck, and we WhatsApp nearly every day, and yeah, it really worked out. And she's based in England, just randomly.
That's really good to know, because it's not something I've done, and probably I should do. As you say, it's like it's all well and good and being structured and knowing what you're doing yourself, but it's having someone to hold you accountable. And a lot of, I know, community groups do that. It's, what have you planned for this week? Write it down here and we'll hold you accountable. But when it's actually a one-to-one, it's a lot more productive that way. And it's a really nice way to actually get to know someone, because it's being a virtual assistant, it can be so isolating. So this is actually really nice having a chat. So it's probably a good tip, looking for coaches and looking for accountability partners or mentors as well. I think at any stage, it doesn't matter if you're starting out, but even if you're further down the line and quite experienced, you still want somebody to talk to give you a bit of because your business is still moving. So it's having somebody there to sort of cheerlead for you and keep you accountable to the goals that you want. So yeah, that's quite a good point. So how do you manage your working day with working full time and then doing a VA?
So, I'm a self-proclaimed productivity badass. Like getting stuff done is just what I do. Like I get more done in the day than loads and loads of people, and that's just who I am. So oftentimes I wake up well before my husband does. I get up, I'll do a little bit of work, whether that be for the VA business or the house, just depending on what needs to get done. And if I have a load on, as far as VA work, I can do it on my lunch during my day job. Most of the time I work evenings and weekends for my VA work.
Okay.
Again, my husband likes a lion. So when he's still in bed on the weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday is where I get like the big project work done, and the little admin tasks I just get done as I can, and goes pretty well. um, I am big into making sure that my personal life is really organized so that I have the time for these things. So every Sunday I spend about 2 hours in the kitchen meal prepping every breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or every breakfast and lunch for our work week, making sure all of our snacks are done. And then I do dinners kind of on Monday. I cook dinner for Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, I cook dinner for Wednesday and Thursday.
I need you in my house.
I have a spreadsheet. I'll share it with you.
Okay.
I'll share it with all of you.
Right.
I have a random.
Stick it down there. I'm definitely because.
So yeah, we have a meal rota that we actually use that was like rotating weekly meal plans.
Yeah.
Additionally, like most of what you see on my social media, not everything, but most of it will be scheduled out in advance.
Yeah.
And just like I practice what I preach to my clients. So I keep everything. I keep my entire life in Trello. So I love Google Docs. So I just keep everything as organized as possible so that that I can fit time in, essentially, so that I can get an hour of work done when I come home and still make sure that I spend time with my husband and my dog and find time for a healthy dinner.
Work-life balance. Yeah.
And it's not always easy. Sometimes when I'm fortunate enough to have loads and loads of client work on while having a day job and things, it can get a little tough to balance both my day job and VA work, because at some stage you have to grow enough to kind of let some things go. And finding that balance will be interesting when it really comes down to it.
Well, maybe that's the time you jump from one to the other full time. Or, as some VAs do, they have associates and ship out that work to their associates. That's not something I've done or looked into yet, because I kind of think I like a bit more experience in what I'm doing, or the thought of managing more people. I'm like, okay, no. No, I'll keep myself sorted first. But there are those other options, but it's good to know that you have so much work that it's keeping you busy, and that you're in it's a nice place to be, basically. Like, it's so much work that you can't do it all,
right. And I don't have that every week, which is good for my mental health, but not necessarily. I'm still building up, but
I think that's the same for anyone, not just a VA, and the sort of entrepreneurial solopreneur. It's very up and down, and it's just, you need to go with the flow and keeping your mental health strong. And you just need to make time for you and make time for work and try and keep them as organized as possible.
Absolutely.
Easier said than done. So, do you actually do most of your work? Well, you were saying you do most of your work sort of like it's, fitting it around work. So it's obviously at home and then the office. So you don't work at a co-working space or anything like that. Apart as such, it's your business.
Right. So no, my husband and I have a home office set up. So he's got some small entrepreneurial things going on as well. And so I just work from home, whether that be our office or the sofa if he's recording. And it actually says in my contract that the vast majority of my work will be done outside of traditional business hours. So like everybody knows that I will be working mornings, evenings, or weekends when I'm doing work for them. My clients also know if there's an emergency that they can text me, and we'll see if I can fit something in over lunch or anything like that. But at the minute, that's my balance.
Yeah, you're obviously.
And honestly, like right now at this stage, it's not too bad because it's just me and my husband and the dog. I don't have children to get ready for bed or anything, so I can do these things in those time frames and with relative ease.
Yeah, fitting it around kids. That's another balancing act, let me tell you. I know people with so many more. So how did you find, or how did you go about attaining your clients? Was it through like word of mouth, or was it networking, or was it cold calling, or just sending out newsletters, or just out in social media? What way have you found your clients so far?
So first of all, let me say there's nothing I hate more in the world than cold calling. I hate it. I won't do it for clients. I won't do it for, I had to do it briefly for like an intermittent job when I first got here. I hate it. I actually got my first client shortly after, like within days of my relaunch. I had put something up in Bismarck actually.
Okay.
And the timing just really worked. And so it was one of those things that worked so fast after my relaunch that she was, I need you to do this, this, and this now. And it was one of those where I was like, okay, I don't actually have my pricing sheet done. I don't have my contract done. And I just had to make them like right then and there. And I actually used the same pricing sheet format still to this day, like 8 months later, because it just really suited, I guess. And then from there, she's referred me to a couple of people. I found a few more people. Most of my clients are actually in the local business community.
Yeah.
I've had a few clients that were referred by other VAs who they were, essentially they didn't quite line up in the type of work and the type or the time frames that things needed to happen in. So I've done a little bit that way. I'm actually have a client who's kind of taken a step back in her own business. So I'm actually in the process of kind of diving in to find a couple of more clients.
Okay.
So
great. So it's going really well, and so a lot of it you find is through networking, really, being
absolutely
part of community groups, and then from there it is word of mouth, which I find myself, it's being in a certain network, and then do you do that, or I know somebody that does that, and as you say, sharing with other VAs. So again, this is another reason why I wanted to do this, so it's other VAs can connect with more VAs, and I have this job but I can't do it, or I don't have these skills. I know somebody, so.
Right.
That's it. It's a really good supportive community like that, being a virtual assistant. So
I think I was actually quite surprised at how much of a community it is, because I didn't really know anything about it that way coming into it. And realizing how much everyone does support each other and telling each other the right tools to use and how to get something done, letting each other kind of grow, and referring each other. It's not like at all competition based, which I wasn't expecting.
Collaboration, not competition.
It's very much the keywords everywhere that you see, especially in the UK here.
Yeah. So when you were talking about tools there, and you say you are scheduling, get work done, badass, you're obviously the right person to tell us what are the best tools. You talked about Trello. What other ones do you use?
So my top tools, I'm addicted to Trello because it links with everything. So your calendar, Google Docs, it's beautiful there. Slack, I use with my clients as well. So they can drop me documents or task lists. I have a client who really likes reminders to be set for them, but I don't want to have to do a reminder. So I set them a reminder in Slack, and then it reminds them on such and such date that they need to do whatever at whatever time. And I don't have to think about it again or remember.
Have you done that?
Especially since I'm in a day job where the reminder might need to happen while I'm working on contracts with my lawyers. Like it's just
not gonna happen.
So other tools, I use Later for all my social media scheduling. I believe in Later. It's just such a clean design. It doesn't leave. It's free for pretty much like a ridiculous amount of posts and services. It doesn't leave, like when you post something on Facebook, it doesn't say underneath like from Hootsuite or anything like that. So it looks organic.
Okay.
Though as far as Facebook goes, you don't get quite the same like search or the same. It doesn't work with the algorithm the same way as if you were to have posted it organically.
I think that's with all those schedulers, Hootsuite, Buffer, Meet Edgar. I think, as you say, you don't get quite the same. Obviously, there's some meta tag that Facebook picks up on and goes, no,
right.
you're not going to get that as much, but yeah.
why you have to do some of your social media live right on the spot.
Yeah.
But let's see here. What other tools do I use on the regular? Those are probably my biggest. Oh, and Canva. So a lot of my work, what I do for clients is for my own business, for my own social media, I use Canva all the time. But then also for my clients, I have clients that want blog post images done, or I have a client who is a social media specialist herself, but she's gotten so busy, she's outsourcing. So I'm making her images. I have clients who just want like little things done, where I have a client who her entire Instagram feed has little white boxes around all of her images. So you just have to go in and pop in images to make sure it's all. So yeah, Canva just makes everything so beautifully easy. And one of
anybody doesn't, I don't think there's anyone that doesn't use Canva.
I know, but it's one of the only tools I pay for, honestly. At this stage, I don't pay for almost anything except for Canva and Squarespace, which is another thing I preach.
Okay.
Love Squarespace. It's $144 a year, and it is by far one of the best $144 I spend, because I don't have to pay a developer. I can tweak my website as much as I want. It's natural. I do it myself. It includes all the security and hosting and everything.
Okay.
And when updates happen, it's just done for me. I never have to think about anything. It's brilliant.
Okay, I'll have to have a look at that myself. I would use Wix and WordPress, and then what else do I pay? Tailwind would be the only one I pay for, and that's recently. But the rest, no, I would use the free accounts as well. Because again, you like all your stock photos and stock videos as well. There's free sites for that as well.
Right.
So many tools. And again, if you're not sure, it's go on a VA group. Where can I find this?
Exactly. And everybody will be happy to tell you what they use.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is there's no one right answer to tools. That's a thing, because I work with my clients. Like, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for them. I might be scheduling everything with Leader, but they might be using CoSchedule or Hootsuite or Buffer, and you just kind of roll with it. And they're not all that different. So the thing is once you know one, you really can kind of do them all.
It's just a bit of fiddling around and playing with it and getting yourself at the time. Yeah.
Watching a couple of YouTube videos.
Exactly. YouTube videos or Google. Yes, everything is there. It's great. So what, apart from word of mouth and being part of those groups, how do you promote yourself, or do you actually think you need to promote yourself? Or I suppose at the moment you've got enough clients, but
well, I am kind of searching for clients at the minute. So I find I do find that sometimes you can find them in those weird Facebook groups that are all kinds of people. So I'm kind of in the process of combing through things that I think perfectly fit me. I don't want to you can't just go for them all. You have to find the ones that are right up your alley. And those are the ones you're most likely, obviously, to get, because you are exactly who they're looking for. Otherwise, for SEO purposes, mostly I do write blog posts, but I also, it's for that. And as well as when somebody researches me, they then want to know who I am. So if I apply for a job or somebody refers me, the first thing somebody's going to do is go to your website.
Yeah.
And then your little about page might not be enough to gain their trust. So like having a few blog posts about what I know and like my skills, but also about who I am, so that by the time that they're talking to me, they already have a certain level of trust built up with me.
Yeah. So it's just sort of showing, a bit of experience, so people can go, okay, I like the stuff that she's done. So
right. It's a bit of social proof.
Yeah.
Really.
And so have you had many challenges setting yourself up as a VA, or just performing the role as a VA, or has there been any major difficulties?
No, nothing major. Sometimes the balancing act can be a little interesting. When I was first starting to learn Squarespace, which once you get it, it's so easy, but then you try and change one little thing and you need one line of special customized code. Luckily, I'm married to a software developer, but I'm stubborn and I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I know you might be wondering why I pay $144 a year when I'm married to a software developer, but he's got his own projects on.
His own stuff, and he's like, don't bother me. Totally. It's a lot easier.
So, nothing horribly crazy. I think honestly, the biggest challenge for me is in life at the minute is my biggest motivator to keep going, which is for me living in Northern Ireland. It is beautiful. The people are lovely. but being so far away from the people you've spent your whole life developing relationships with is challenging.
Yeah, it is. It's quite
Yeah.
a jump. I have family that are in Singapore and family in Canada, and so social media is great, but it doesn't. It's not the same as a big hug with the people that you spent so much time with. So
Right.
I can understand that. So VA work allows that part of your lifestyle to be a lot more flexible. So
Yeah, well, it will soon. Yes, that's the whole goal. So by within the next 6 months or so, hopefully I will be able to spend quite a bit more time at home. And with my visa, I'm not allowed to spend more than like 2 months of the year gone at all anyway. So
and that would have been my next question, is what is the goal? What is your main goal? So apart from being able to, spend a bit more time back in the US as well as here and work as well, is there any other major goal that you have set for yourself or you'd like to achieve?
no, this is why I need this is why I need to hire a coach, because I really need someone to kind of help pull these things out of me. I am so much of a detail oriented human that like the big picture is just I mean I must have goals in there. I know it too. Like, I want to 6-7 years from now we'll probably be living back in the US, and I want to be able to be full-time as a VA by that stage. If I really put myself into it, I don't think it would take that long, but again, I love my day job.
Yeah.
When I move back to the US, I don't want to have to, be worrying about money or anything. I just want to be able to kind of settle into life again over there, which will have its own challenges going back, I'm sure. So I don't want to be worried about the financial side of things. I just want to continue my work.
I think that's everyone's goal. It's just how you go about it. That's the difference. But yes, I might be somebody I can put you in touch with that could help you with that. And so a question I'd asked, and we talked about it earlier, I talked about it earlier with someone, who was the title that you use. Like I've seen VA, PA, executive assistant, consultant, freelancer. There's so many different titles, and do you have I guess there's no right answer, but do you see one that fits you better, or one that attracts the more customers, or the right customers? What do you think is the best title? I know VA is popular, but
yeah, I went with virtual assistant just because that's how I'd always heard of it. But I found actually a lot of times here in Northern Ireland, especially in a face-to-face meeting, I'll say I'm a virtual assistant. Somebody kind of gives me a blank stare. And then I say I'm a virtual PA, and they suddenly understand what I mean. So my official title is virtual assistant, but I do try and work in the PA thing when I don't know if somebody will necessarily understand if they're coming from maybe a field that isn't as online or something. So
yeah, I think I suppose it depends on the work that you do, because I guess if somebody is, I don't know, a PA that does specific tasks like bookkeeping, scheduling, emails, and that kind of thing, is more like a PA. Or there's somebody that maybe does website design, like a freelancer or a consultant. So I guess it's depending what your niche really is, and then call yourself a name that kind of suits. So my last question would have been, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? But you've already told us that you're hopefully back in the States.
Just over that, yes. So my visa here, the plan all along was to go back at some stage. Like the dream for my husband and I long term is, so in 5 years' time, I will have indefinite leave to remain in the UK. And then we can work on getting a similar status for my husband in the US. We might go for citizenship. That's a little up in the air. But once we can both be in each other's countries as we want and need to, the idea is for both of us to kind of have a place to live or stay in both countries, and to travel around as our parents age, our families celebrate major, life things, and those kinds of things, just be where we want and need to be. Which my mother-in-law found out last Christmas, and she said that we weren't ever allowed to take any grandbabies away from her. To which I replied, But that's not a problem because my husband and I don't plan on having children.
Okay, fur babies, fur grandbabies.
Exactly. And suddenly she goes, oh, okay. So
I can, yes, I know that conversation. Not that I ever had that issue, but yes.
I think, I mean, at this stage, just as a kind of random side tangent, I've not wanted children for as long as I realized, I realized that about 16, 17, I didn't have to have them. So that was, and I haven't wanted any since. And the older I get, the less I get challenged on it, I think. But everybody, still sometimes people are like, oh, you're going to change your mind. And I'm like,
but again, there's no right or wrong answer there.
The crazy auntie. I want to be everybody's crazy auntie. I don't not like kids. I just don't feel like I want any of my own.
Oh, Craigie, it's so different. I still don't think I'm an adult myself. Never mind being the adult of three children. Need to work that one out. Never mind a business, but yeah.
Right.
So basically, the VA lifestyle, it suits so many different people, so many different situations.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be a international traveling extraordinaire VA. And I'm going to be a stay-at-home mum VA. Well, no, I'm going to be a VA myself and just fit it around the boys, and it suits both. That's the beauty of it. So in closing, is there any tips, tricks, or advice that you'd give to newbies or more experienced? What's the thing you would have wished you'd known when you'd started out, or is there anything?
So I am not a shy person. I am not typically held back by much, but as this new venture, I wish that somebody had said to me more often to just be brave, take the leap, ask the question, ask them to coffee, because the worst somebody's ever going to tell you is no. And most times, especially in Northern Ireland, everyone's like, yeah, I'll go to coffee with you. I've never met you, but let's grab a coffee. And just being brave enough to ask for what you deserve, ask for what the opportunities you want. And I'm only starting to really get this now, that you have to do it to make it happen. You have to force it, because nobody's just going to hand you anything. You have to be making your own opportunities constantly.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I have a saying, and it's totally not mine. It's totally stolen. And I'll hopefully get taken to court for it, but it's like, just do it. Sorry. But I say that to myself all the time. It's like, yeah, just do it. And you might be scared. But once you do it, it's like, oh, what was I so worried about? And
I know.
What's the worst that can happen? People can say no. And it's like, right, okay, well, sure, another time, or I'll try somebody else.
Yeah, there's been times where it's like that client that's kind of fallen off the radar, following up with them, and it kind of feels scary to invite them to coffee, and maybe you hear that they might, for some reason, have found someone else or whatever, but it's never happened. Everyone's just like, they get so, it turns out that their life has just gotten busy. Like life outside of work has taken over for the time being, or whatnot. And because I was brave enough to ask, I heard the truth, and it was able to bring my client back around and just also make me not be in my head.
So I mean, it's like being an adult, it's not a big deal if something goes wrong, or if somebody does go and find another client. Well, okay, that didn't work out for me, but I'll find something that does. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's a good point. It's time to put on the big girl pants and just get on with it. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me and having this conversation. And hopefully it's of use to newbies and more experienced people. And hopefully also there'll be some businesses that think, yeah, Ellie and Calibrated Concepts is the perfect match for me. And especially when they're in the States, there as well. And so I just want to say thanks very much. And I hope everything goes really well for you, and just keep in touch, and we'll find out how your goals are achieved.
Thank you.
And I will leave you to go back to your day job. I'll go back and find out what my son's doing, because of summer holidays, juggling. Anyway, but yes, thanks very much, Ellie.
Okay.
I will talk to you soon.